Good afternoon, everybody, and I just want to say thank you very much to the various different people that are behind me here. Beth Hassett, the Executive Director of WEAVE, and Assemblyman Jones, and Julie Naumann, the Executive Officer of Victims Compensation Government Claims Board, Secretary Matt Cates, and Secretary Matt Bettenhausen, and then Sheriff McGinnis, and the list goes on and on. So I want to say thank you to all of them. And today, of course, we're here to celebrate the restoration of funding for California's domestic violence shelters. This is great news for every Californian whose life has been devastated by violence in the home. This is a problem, a serious problem, and it's widespread. And that is why I was so saddened to see the shelters, which are crucial to domestic violence victims, caught up in Sacramento's politics this last summer. The legislature sent me a budget that was not balanced. As a matter of fact, it was in the hole by $165 million. I was forced to make very, very difficult decisions. And cuts that, for instance, in programs like domestic violence shelters, so that we could continue to provide basic state services like firefighting. Some of the state's 94 shelters had to close, but today we celebrate that they can reopen again. We have a solution that we're celebrating in signing SBX3, which is authored by Senator Alan Alquist, and we want to thank you for this great work. And it will provide $16.3 million from a special gas tax fund, and of course it has to be repaid. I want to congratulate Senator Alquist for the great work, and also Senator Leland Yee, who also authored a similar bill. Also want to take this opportunity and thank Senator Steinberg for his great leadership, because he felt very passionate about getting this money restored. And I also want to congratulate the many groups that put victims first and that came together to find a creative solution to keep the shelters open. And some of those groups are behind me right now. I want to thank them: Crime Victims Action Alliance, the California Coalition Against Sexual Assault, Crime Victims United, Parents of Murdered Children, the California Partnership to End Domestic Violence, Victim Witness, in the Department of Corrections, my office and my staff, the Attorney General's office, Kalima, and the Victims Compensation Fund. I want to thank them all, and as you can see, where there's a will, there's a way. We're very happy that we could turn some of those things around, like, for instance, Healthy Family Program, that we funded again, and also, for instance, the legislators came together and found creative ways together to keep the parks open, and now with the domestic violence centers to keep them open. I think this is all great news. So I want to again thank everyone that participated, and I want to have Senator Steinberg come out and say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Governor, for not only being here today, but for working with us to help restore this funding, and for your signature today, and for making this issue a priority. I also want to thank Senator Alquist, my colleague, Senator Leland Yee, who worked very hard on this measure, Senators Kehoe and Corbett, Assemblymember Jones, and other members of the Assembly for their leadership as well. You know, there are many things that we do in state government that don't rise to the level of life and death. This issue is about life and death. In 2007, there were 118 domestic violence-related deaths. And in 2008, there were 119 deaths. Without this action today, 6 shelters in California's communities would be forced to continue to remain closed. And by the legislature's action and the governor's signature, we are going to prevent more people from suffering and dying needlessly. And so it's as simple as that. And I appreciate not only the restoration, but the fact that, you know, we sometimes get criticized a little bit for the way we budget, but thank God we were able to find a special fund and borrow the money on a one-time basis to tide us over until we can figure out permanent funding, because the lives that are at stake are much more important than anything else. Thank you. Beth Hassett, who is my constituent, who is the Executive Director of Women Escaping a Violent Environment, otherwise known as WEAVE. Welcome.
Thank you, Senator Steinberg. At 4 o'clock in the morning on Sunday night, this last Sunday, our crisis line rang, and the advocate who answered it drove to the hospital to pick up a victim of domestic violence. Earlier that evening, her partner had smashed her head on the sidewalk in front of their house so hard that she needed to be taken in an ambulance to the hospital. He was arrested. Her young children were taken into custody by CPS so she could get the help that she needed. Her kids were returned to her the next day, and they're all in our safe house trying to rebuild their lives in the safety of a confidential shelter. This is just one victim's story. This story is repeated time and again every day all over the state of California. We take calls and we bring people into our shelter at all hours of the night and all through the day. And unfortunately, we do not have the funding we need to meet the demand of all of the victims who come to us. Today we're celebrating the signing of Senate Bill X313 and the restoration of funds to help 94 agencies in this state who will help thousands of people in the coming year. And these victims are women and men and children in our own communities. They're our neighbors, they're our coworkers, they're the people who live down the block, and they're all human beings. We talk about the money and we get all caught up in the budget crisis, but we're talking about people here. People that I am proud to be here to represent and say thank you to Governor Schwarzenegger and the legislature for finding the funding and restoring it for this year. It takes a whole community to end domestic violence, and we're standing here today, a community of Californians who are looking after some of our most vulnerable victims in this world. And I am so proud that we have come together and are finding a way to fund these valuable services, and I'm just so grateful that you are all here and that the legislature and the governor have stood behind us and the many, many women and children we will serve this year. Thank you very much.
All right,